We also call the film sometimes, like, not to knock on it at all, but almost as a gateway to bring people in, as kind of like an intro to horror.
Right.
Like it's even with a film like the title Cannibal Comedian, like I can't even really watch a lot of cannibal movies,
right?
Because they get it right so well. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, I think I'll skip eating for a month now. But like this one in particular, it keeps it light to the point where you get to see how Charlie's mind works, where even when there's a horror or gore scene, whatever, he's always doing it to get a punchline or to build material.
It's very detached.
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
that's great.
So it allows it.
So are the people. Well, after he,
cuts them and body parts, but like
yes, those tendencies.
I don't usually do these intros anymore, but I wanted to do one for this one because I got to sit down with some of the cast and crew of Cannibal Comedian. It's a new horror film that'll be out, I think, in May. And at a recent film festival, my friend Ty put on in my hometown, or our hometown of Asheboro, North Carolina, at the Sunset Theater. And it was a really nice festival. The guys from Cannibal Comedian got to come out and screen their film. Wow, it was a really amazing film. It may be my favorite indie horror film now. It's definitely going to make some waves in that genre. And so keep your eyes out for Cannibal Comedian, because it's going to be awesome, or it is awesome, and I think a lot of people are going to love it, and I think it's going to be a cult classic in the horror genre. And hopefully we'll have him back on to discuss the film now that I've seen it. But just keep your eyes out for it. I hope you enjoy the episode. Follow these guys, because they're amazing, and they're going to do incredible things in the future. And hope you enjoy it. Well, thank you guys for coming on the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Same.
And it's been a cool festival. So we've got the creators of Cannibal Comedian.
Yeah, in the house.
And so you wrote and directed the film,
I
correct?
did. And produced. And then you're
I produce as well, one of the co-editors, and I played Bruce, stand-up comic in the film.
Okay, nice. And Austin, correct?
Yes, I play the lead actress, Crystal.
Okay.
Who is a singer and captive.
Singer
Nice.
and captive.
Singer and captive.
Captivating singer.
Captivating.
And then Allen, you were Chainsaw Jerry in the original Chainsaw Massacre, right?
That's right. I'm the OG.
Yeah.
The original driver in the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and somehow I got connected with these guys.
Right.
And they asked me to do the voiceover, like an homage to Chainsaw that John Larroquette did.
Oh, nice.
So I did that when we had a freeze. I was in Austin. I live in Austin, Texas.
Okay.
And so there was a freeze. I had no power. I was living in my kitchen for 2 days and freezing. And I got a call that these guys wanted me to do this voiceover, which I did.
Yeah.
And actually it was a lot of fun, but I haven't seen the movie.
Oh.
So tonight is like my premiere to see the whole deal.
Oh, that's exciting.
And
So I'm
North
really
Carolina
looking forward to it.
as well. It's the first screening in North Carolina.
Okay, very cool.
So I mean, we're very happy to bring it here, and at the first film festival ever in Asheboro.
Yeah, Asheboro, North Carolina. This is actually my hometown too.
And a shout out to Ty for bringing us down. He did an amazing
Yeah,
job.
sure, yeah.
Amazing
Yeah.
job.
Go Ty.
Don't get carried away.
And this is also the 50th anniversary of Chainsaw Massacre too, right?
Right. As I tell people, if I knew I was going to live this long, I would have taken better care of myself.
You still look great, so that's good.
But because a lot of people, we've lost a lot of people.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Leatherface, Gunnar Hansen, Marilyn Burns, who played the first final girl. She's gone. Jim Cedar. We're a vanishing breed.
Yeah.
So you want to get us while we're still, breathing and not
Right.
drooling and stuff like that.
Well, glad we still have you, so that's good.
Yeah.
So what's the festival circuit been like for you guys?
Fantastic.
Yeah,
I mean,
It's been good to us, yeah.
yeah. I
It's
mean,
been great.
To be honest.
we kind of got a little lucky with, I guess, starting the film principal photography weeks before the pandemic shut down. So during the pandemic, we were able to get the film assembled and kind of assess what was working, what wasn't, what needed to be tweaked and finessed. And we're able to actually have that time to do that during lockdown. so that when we were able to kind of get together and do these little skeleton crew pickup shoots,
Yeah.
we could really hyper focus on what we already knew was gonna work ahead of time, what characters people liked and what jokes were working and how to just play into that better. And then right when kind of everything started to open back up and, they'll say like Hollywood kind of came back to life, the festival circuits were really starting to kick off again. And and it's just kind of the perfect festival movie. It's got that midnight feel, grindhouse, like horror movie that, with a title like Cannibal Comedian, you see in a film program, you're like, all right, I need to have an opinion on that,
Yeah.
So we kind of got lucky with that and been really fortunate so far.
Since you got an extra year to work on the film too, I'm sure that a lot of things changed during that year that typically you would be so rushed you wouldn't have time to make those big changes. But what did the extra year do for you guys overall?
Yeah, that really helped the film a lot because, like you said, the assembly cut, we got to look at that and then we got to really get to work and get out there and do more shoots. And there's like critical moments, like we may just put on like the Blu-ray like bonus features. Like there's an alternate, basically an alternate ending that from before that we shot and we changed to help the story, and it was just a better ending at the end of the day. So we probably shot after principal photography at least like 30 or 35% more movie.
Wow.
So it was great actually. I mean, it's always a double-edged sword when you don't have like a lot of funds,
Right.
but we don't have anybody coming down on us or anything like we. Like when it needs to come out,
Yeah. It
Any
was restricting you.
Yeah, there's no restrictions. There's no studio heads. So it was a very collaborative experience for sure. Like, but obviously it took a little while. But
I think we kind of lucked out too with the Texas Chainsaw aspect because the film already is a love letter to Texas Chainsaw. But when you're kind of looking at how to market a film and get it out there and hook people in, it was a dream scenario for us to have someone like Allen and Ed Neal involved with the film who were in the original Texas Chainsaw because, we really stand by the film and its originality, and having a psychopathic cannibal living out in the desert whose dream is to just pursue stand-up comedy, is something that's it's inherently got a good synopsis to hook you in, but you kind of you find out if you don't have like these names in your film, it's kind of tough to sell just an original idea because everybody's all about IP and what do we throw on the poster and
Need the
whatnot.
draw.
Yeah, and so luckily, Alan was frozen, so we paid him in fire. And we caught Ed at a good time. Yeah, you thought out, yeah. And what's really special about this particular screening and kicking off 2024 during the year of the 50th anniversary of the release is we have, right off the bat, Ty was able to put together a double feature with the first 50th anniversary theatrical screening. So tonight is the first time these two movies will ever play back to back. And
That's
so
awesome.
We're so excited for it and couldn't be happier with what we got cooking tonight.
Yeah, it's perfect. What inspired Cannibal Comedian?
yeah, so I moved out to LA and I wanted to pursue stand-up comedy. I already had a film under my belt. It was in post-production. It's called Big Top Evil. And I like really hardcore. I really wanted to do stand-up comedy, so I pursued it for like 6 weeks, and yeah, it's 6 months. No, it was a little longer than. But what I found really, really funny and fascinating was that some of the same stuff applies to a cannibal or a serial killer. I Murdered Tonight,
Oh, yeah.
the audience was brutal. I ate it up here, so it was like
jargon.
hand in hand, man. It's really funny how that came about. And it really sprouted from like even a serial killer doing stand up, he'd be sweating up here too,
Right,
it's hard
yeah.
for everybody. And it's a brutal life, and so I found that just doing open mics and stuff like that, somebody eating a cheeseburger and then another like comic not even paying attention. That's like the only people there.
It can be rough.
Yeah, it could be a little rough.
And fascinating, types of situations you could put. Every comic will be into like dealing with hecklers, but having a serial killer actually like fantasizing about brutally murdering a heckler, or the idea of the fact that you have a cannibal who dreams of being a stand-up comic, who cannibalizes people, but you also have comics out there who cannibalize other comics material.
Sure.
So it plays on multiple layers, the Cannibal Comedian aspect, and you kind of get to see that a little bit, from Aaron Prager, who plays Charlie the Cannibal Comedian, but also a bit in, Robert Dunn, who plays Carrie, the comedy club owner, who kind of gives him a shot, but he's a little bit predatory of fresh new comics trying to make a name for himself.
Right.
So we get to play on that on many different layers for a horror comedy.
Does this take place in L.A. or where does the film take place?
The Wild West.
Yeah, it's kind of we don't really say, but it's definitely high desert. That's what we know, and we do know when he does finally go pursue stand up, it's quite a drive, and even that comedy club is out in the desert too.
Oh,
so
in the commercial for the comedy club, which you get to see, Robert actually, as playing Carrie, is just like, we're located in the middle of the desert, and the location just says middle of the desert, and it's like flashing on the screen.
Conveniently located in the middle of the desert.
There you go.
Not at all convenient for anybody unless you already live there. But it is kind of like a hole in the wall, like, very small type of comedy.
What's funny too is the place that we did the exterior shots. It was called something Saloon, and there's a big horse. You'll see in the big horse statue, and then we created our own where it's called the Funny Pit Comedy Club. That actually is a place where I bombed at doing stand up.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. So, and then what's funny too is I met with a stand up comedian, Ryan Stolder, and I wanted him to take a look at the script because I just wanted the comics to look at it too,
right,
and get their perspective and see what they think. It seems good, or joke's good, blah blah blah. And I was looking for a house in the middle of the desert, and he's like, "Oh, I and my uncle own this house. It's called the Murder Cabin. If you want to shoot there."
That's perfect.
And comics have stayed there before too.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So because he's a real desert kid, like he lives out there, and it's actually where we shot was Morongo Valley.
Okay.
Yeah, and I always say it's like closer to Joshua Tree and and Palm Springs area. Yeah,
nice.
But that's where he was from, so he'd bring comics out and do stand-up gigs. So, but we did shoot interior in LA in a Irish pub. They had a back room that we set dressed as a comedy club, and that place was called Molly Malone's in LA. So but everything else was shot out in the desert.
Did you were you able to put a lot of Easter eggs in the film?
There are some Easter eggs, yeah, for sure. There are a few, once people get to know me or watch some of my films, we got Easter eggs from my films from before and future films to come. Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, eagle-eared listeners will be able to pick up on a Big Top Evil drop in there. There's a couple of nods, but throughout, I also too just kind of homages to Texas Chainsaw. I mean, like Alan mentioned, our opening narration, which kind of sets up it's got the classic grindhouse crawl, of text, and it kind of builds the world. And so it's cool because Alan's kind of like our architect for the film, who's ushering in, the next generation of I guess cannibal filmmaker, indie horror filmmakers,
filmmakers.
Yeah. And so it kind of has that aspect of it for in the beginning that you get to see kind of that world put together where this is the world that Charlie lives in, that we're about to pull him out and kind of a fish out of water story and see how he flops about on the comedy scene.
And partly some of that inspiration came from like Pee-wee. Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Oh yeah, okay.
It's his own world. Everyone knows Pee-wee. It's not reality. That's we created this little world,
Yeah, your own construct.
Yeah, my own. Yeah. So yeah, totally inspired by that in Texas.
And also too, we should shout out Miss Sadistic and David Vega, Lucifer's ex. They play Eleanor and Sheriff Weaver, and they're kind of in this like cannibal family they have. But you've used them in all of your movies: Mangrove Slasher 2, Big Top Evil, and the next film, Area 5150. And so you kind of get to see like Sean's company's like the Happy Frights Films. It's like a Happy Frights company. Traveling company of actors you get to see. So, and also too, you're in Big Top Evil as well, and so you definitely get to see a lot of overlap and whatnot. But it's cool because in each movie, Sean gives them kind of a fresh voice and a fresh look. So nobody's ever really copy and pasted throughout. It's sometimes you might be thrown for a loop of like, oh wait, that's the person from this movie. Right. So it rewards those people who come back and they revisit the other material and. And you can catch all that stuff on streaming and online now.
Oh, which one? Yeah, both. Yeah. Oh, are you talking about the other movies?
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazon Prime. You can watch Mangrove Slasher 2. There wasn't a first one. We were saying it was a we were saying it was a prequel. And then Big Top Evil is on Tubi and Paramount Plus. And yeah, that's easy to find.
But this is the thing about being here in North Carolina. This is a first to have Cannibal Comedian showing tonight, along with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Because in 1974, when the movie came out, my parents were living in Florida, and they ended up seeing Texas Chainsaw Massacre in a porno theater.
Oh.
And the second feature was Debbie Does Dialysis.
Sarasota.
That's funny.
Allendale.
They're both good.
And we're all from Florida as well. I think we were actually conceived in that porno theater. But yeah.
Yeah.
No, they went to see Chainsaw,
And Pee Wee was there. It was cool.
Yeah.
In fact, when my scene came where I go into the house and get killed, my mother started standing up and screaming for me not to go into that house.
I was going to say that movie was probably traumatic for a lot of people back then.
It was. They ended up calling me to make sure I was still alive.
That's funny. What was your experience like being the lead actress on the film?
Well, working with Sean is always a pleasure. It's like working with an artist who really understands his medium, and he understands like what I like to do as an actress. And so as he was writing the part, he actually involved me saying, hey, I have this part. It'll be perfect for you. It's this country girl who's a performer, and she gets captive, and she gets a Stockholm Syndrome relationship with this cannibal comedian. And the way it ends is just like, I'm so proud to play a part like this because I don't see it very often in movies. And I'm very proud that Sean chose me for this role because it's a lot of responsibility to hold a role that like has to be the straight man, but also entertaining, but also not completely hated maybe.
Yeah.
Because strong female roles tend to end up that way.
Yeah, I see that too a lot nowadays. A lot of female roles, they're the most simplistic way I can say is they're not likable. Yeah. Like they're not coming off on screen likable
or angry and mean.
Yeah, and very likable, watchable. Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah.
Lovely and evil.
Yeah. It's
great that you're able to.
She brings it.
We also call the film sometimes like not to knock on it at all, but almost as a gateway to bring people in as kind of like an intro to horror.
Right.
Like it's even with a film like the title Cannibal Comedian, like I can't even really watch a lot of cannibal movies because they get it right so well. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, I think I'll skip eating for a month now. But like this one in particular, it keeps it light to the point where you get to see how Charlie's mind works, where even when there's a horror or gore scene, whatever, he's always doing it to get a punchline or to build material.
It's very detached.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
that's great.
So it allows it to...
So are the people. Well, after he
cuts them and body parts. But like,
yes, its tendencies.
Nice.
It keeps it light. It wants to leave it on a laugh. And funny enough, the scariest thing I would say about the movie, just coming in from an artist perspective, is that artist's journey of having a dream and going to pursue it. And sometimes the voice in your head, or the people around you trying to break through that wall of an artist barrier that they set up for themselves a lot of the time is the scariest thing about a movie. It's called Cannibal Comedian, but it's really a sweet story about an artist doing whatever it takes to follow their dreams. Sometimes that involves cutting people up and
so
I like to call it mom approved. Like a lot of people who've seen her are like, I don't like horror movies, but this was very palatable. I love this. It was funny. I'm ready for the next one. What's going to happen in the next movie? Yeah. Everyone asks that, which kind think she'll for a
Well, I
good
think
movie,
the-
they're ready for another one.
I haven't seen it yet, but I think the comedic aspect of it makes it more palatable just conceptually. You know, because I don't really like gory movies a whole lot. I like horror films, but I'm not real big into like the
Gore porn.
some of the OG slash films are great, but some of the newer stuff like Saw and stuff, I'm not really into those films. But I love horror comedy. It's a fun genre.
Well, look at Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Look at Halloween, the original Halloween. Like those are movies that actually don't have a ton of blood in them.
Right,
They usually cut away from it, and the sound design and stuff paints the picture in your head of something that's actually pretty gruesome. And sometimes when you go back and you think about it, like that was the goriest movie ever, or the bloodiest movie ever. Actually, not.
It's just intense because the idea is so intense. It's like it seems like some of the horror movies today are almost too on the nose.
Right.
So it's like we don't have
Show
to
you everything.
Yeah.
There's nothing for you to go back and think of what's scarier.
It's special effects porn.
Yeah.
That's why they say books are better, because your imagination filled in those gaps, and
Right.
then like someone had their perspective on it. Oh, that's not what I saw.
And there's a lot of humor in Chainsaw.
Well, yeah.
You know, you did to the door. There you go. Or that's the last hitchhiker I ever pick up. And speaking of that, yesterday driving, there was a guy hitchhiking as we were driving by. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. Like I thought it was staged just for me.
Yeah, it's funny.
Publicity stunt.
Yeah.
Imagine picking him up and he actually knew who you were.
What got you guys into filmmaking and acting and all that?
Filmmaking was my first love for sure, because I'm a musician as well, and I picked up the guitar a little bit later. Like
Yeah, I saw you play the other night. It was really impressive.
Thank
It's
you.
good.
Yeah,
And you have songs in the movie too.
I do have songs.
Oh, great.
Yeah, original songs in the movie. Pin drops, they call them. And the first time I think it was when my grandmother brought over a video camera, and when I grabbed that from her, it was on. I was making movies from there, and then a little bit later, I got really into horror. I was always into Halloween and putting on. We had like a haunted yard. We'd make all the graves. I get all my friends to help me scare people, and I'm like 10 years old. And so when Scream came out, I must have done the cold open like a dozen times, and I'd get my sister-in-law, I'd get my sister's friend, I would get people to play Drew Barrymore's character and just shoot the cold open. and I was just obsessed with Scream. So that was the real start of it all for me. Yeah.
That's awesome. Did you go to film school or anything, or just it's always been just your independent journey?
I was always just ambitious.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember when we did one scene for a horror film. I was maybe 13, and I just knew that we got the okay to shoot at my elementary school. I was in middle school at the time, and I knew this needs to look like a real school day. So I got friends to play extras. Bring your book bag, bring your books, have them walk, and then I knew that we needed sort of a dolly shot following the two main characters, and then we need crossings, and so I knew how to make it look like a real production. And then at the time, my mom's boyfriend had a brand new Mustang, so we wanted the killer to smoke the tires and take off.
Yeah.
I couldn't drive, so that was production value. So and that was before script writing. I even made a film just like an outline of a script, Mangrove Slasher 2. That's why I started at the second one, because if you watch like Friday the 13th 5, do you really care about the story?
Right.
So I knew what capabilities I had. I'm like, I can't really write a story. Let's go number 2, and we'll start it with boobs and blood and people getting killed on the beach.
Got all the tropes in there.
Yeah, and we had someone bring a keg out, and that was we shot this whole huge dream sequence. The whole movie opens with that. So
That's kind of how Cannibal Comedian starts. Joe Bob said it starts with the 3 B's.
3 B's.
It's like boobs and butt and blood.
Boobs, blood, and beasts, or right? Yeah.
Bees. I think it's actually bees.
Bees.
I think
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
because-
yeah.
That's what makes
Yeah.
it a B horror.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But
There
bee
you go.
attacks. No.
Yep. That's my story.
What year was your first film produced?
So I made
Or your first available film?
Yeah. Oh, available film. Well, I made a 30-minute film called Swamp Zombie, when I was like 16, and I shot that in upstate New York. Again, I had my whole family because on my Haitz side, my dad or my grandfather had 10 kids, so. Wow. There was cousins on cousins, so we shot out in.
That's here. That's not.
we had a great time, and I got my whole family. I went out to visit there, and like we're gonna make a movie, and we shot it in like 3 days and edited it, and my uncle produced it and had a professional editor come in, and so that was like the first like it was like 30 or 40 minutes. But then the one that's on Amazon,
like a family film too. That's really fascinating.
Yeah,
it's cool.
It was a totally family affair.
Watched Mangrove Slasher 2, and the first time I saw it, I was like, "That's you, right, Sean?" He was like, "No." And I was like, "Okay, well then that's you, right?"
They all look
You're
the
like
same.
a poor man Steven Spielberg.
It was just so fun, and then watching the dailies, and we're all laughing. It was just like great, like family time too, you know.
Yeah, that's cool.
And my cousin's killing me, and then. I would do funny stuff like my sister was because my sister was really good and my brother were really good, and my sister really was a cheerleader. My brother was kind of a jock, and I'm like, all right, your boyfriend, girlfriend.
Grace is wonderful. Best
Hey, we're
screen.
from Florida.
Best screen.
That's fine.
Did they have to kiss?
No, but there was some dialogue. That was but So Mangrove Slasher 2 is the one that's like available.
Okay,
that's the first one. Yeah,
it's cool that you started this journey so young because I think it's great to see an artist when they start working on a specific craft at an early age, and you can see it evolve over time and really become something unique, where it expresses the individual, or at least you can see you develop like a style, And I think all the best art is you can see the artist's work in the piece, and I think that's really special because a lot of stuff is so network or corporate, and I think it lacks that feel, that certain vibe you get from an independent artist.
You'll see that in the film as well. Like Charlie working, you could tell he's been working on this stuff for a while, and it's trying to just build up the confidence. Slowly start telling a few people about it, see how they react to it. But you could tell that he's got something special that works for him in a certain style, and then once other people start to pick up on that style, they're also like, well, that clearly works, I'm just going to do that. But unless it has that like genuine, it feels genuine, you could tell it's not just a copy and paste thing.
You have to put thousands of hours of time and effort into it.
It's authentic, like you could tell.
How did you get into producing and acting and all that?
Probably similar, like kind of to Sean. I would say almost exactly the same, but in more of a horror comedy sense, where I was like writing, directing, acting, editing, producing, shooting on camcorder. But for the opening of like Scary Movie and Shriek, if you know what I did last Friday the 13th, which are all like the parodies from like the 2000s, and I recreated that for umpteen different sequels of ripping off myself, just doing like add 5, 6, 7 to the numbers and whatnot, and just kind of always knew that that's what I wanted to pursue. Just knew like you have to go make a movie. Okay, well I only have family members, same deal as having like neighborhood kids or my mom or my sister or whatever as actors, and all the kids I used to grow up with. But it is cool to kind of come full circle with this particular movie because it was during the pandemic when everything had shut down, right after shooting actually, because there was a break between like doing the acting portion and doing a lot of the post-producing, that I went back and rediscovered all of the movies I made as a kid. And there was a moment where it was just so down because things had really started like picking up for me in LA because I just moved out there before the pandemic. And then sat down and watched all those movies, and I was like, man, I owe it to that kid to see this through. Like, I gotta get out there and I gotta push in this stuff. And if there's a way to find it in the horror comedy realm, like this stuff's funny. Like this works. And being able to do that with Cannibal Comedian kind of just picked up at the right time because Sean was very much looking for a producer and to really kind of get the movie across the finish line.
Right, yeah.
And we just kind of like hit it off. We play like a creative tennis game of like bouncing ideas and building off of those ideas that. Yeah, shout out to Cortland Gordon, who actually worked on the Talk to Me movie, which recently came out. He came in and just pizzazzed and styled out that whole, like the fine cut of the edit, really kind of added a lot of the muscle layer to the film and just made it look like really kind of expensive. Like actually have like, you want to make it look like the movie was found on a shelf that's been abandoned for years at the library or something, but at the same time, like you picked up a gem. You know, and you're like, why didn't this have a whatever bigger release? And you find out it's somebody lost the rights and then they released it on screens. It's too gory. You know, you hear about stories of the movies like that from the 80s and 70s. And we tried to capture that. And we feel like we very much got something we're very happy with.
There's one thing that just came up from childhood and like beginning to make movies. There was like an effect on my camera that had like a transition thing. And we would just shoot it all in, I guess, linear because we didn't even have an edit anywhere to edit. So we just go. So we did the credits, and I and my sister would write down the credits on a piece of paper, and it's doing this cool transition thing, like a weird effect, and then we're putting in the next credit with a piece of paper and next credit. It's funny how that's kind of where it started.
I don't even know if I knew that, but the credits for all the movies that I used to do, like Sunday the 15th, Monday the 16th, it's like. It's piece of paper and like flashlight, you know, shutting off and shutting on in the darkness of like how to do creative transition. Then Windows Movie Maker came out and they had like a blood font, but I didn't have a way to get the video from Windows Movie Maker onto the camcorder. So I just set up the camera and filmed the small preview screen, and I thought it was like the coolest production value ever. I was like, this is a real movie, you know, with like Linkin Park playing in the room in the background. Like, you know, you figure it out. And it's kind of what we take into this is like, you just got to figure it out.
Yeah, a lot of stuff's like that. Yeah. What year was that?
Like I guess that would have been like 2003.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. How much have things changed since 2003? Yeah. It's 20 years. Yeah. 21 years.
I will say that it was kind of funny because some of the earliest, I think, font I saw was that like blood font on this, and I was like, we got to change that blood font. That's bringing it back to 2003 Windows Movie Maker, but you know, I mean, we got a font we're pretty happy with here.
Looks great.
Yeah.
What got you into acting?
I actually grew up very much an introvert. I weighed 200 pounds, had a rat tail, and everyone thought I was a boy the second they met me, especially with a name like Austin. So I wasn't behind the theater. I did the sets, I did the costume, and I loved hanging out with actors. I thought it was so much fun. Then when I graduated, I was a theater assistant for Bravo, which is a children's theater. And I ended up doing the improv classes with the kids, and it ended up just becoming play. Like acting became play at that point instead of something serious, and I really started enjoying it so much more. And then after I graduated college, I had someone just introduce me to modeling. I'm like, oh, this is acting without lines. I don't have to do a thing, but just like be. And I just love that aspect. And then I became a professional figure model for the Ringling College of Art and Design and for other like private studios and stuff. And eventually I went to audition for this guy over here from a photographer who told me, hey, there's an audition going on. You should totally go do it. You'll nail it, I swear. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. So I couldn't even drive at the time. So they even like drove me over there. And out of like 300 people that day, Sean chose me.
That's awesome.
And that was my first time actually acting without just modeling acting. And I really appreciate it because I loved every second of it. And now I'm addicted.
That's great.
Haven't turned back. Now I'm making movies everywhere.
Yeah. How many films have you been in so far?
I think about 4 or 5 now. I just had Sister Psycho come out on Halloween, as well as Revelations, which is an artistic film about environmental awareness.
Okay.
And then I have a Cult Detective I'll be filming this summer where I'm the lead ghost.
Nice.
Thank you.
Very cool. Yeah.
Very excited.
What got you into acting, Alan?
Well, I wasn't an actor.
Okay.
In fact, if you see some of the reviews of the movie that I'm in, you'll get that idea. In fact, one guy referred to me as this 30-year-old disco stew-looking dude.
So all the actors watching this will be pissed off.
Yeah, and
jealous.
And actually, my parents were very disappointed because they wanted me to become a doctor or a dentist. I came close. I became a patient. 2, 3, 4, 5. Anyway, but my background was in social work, and while I was doing social work, I met this couple that the original movie that I was in was called Eggshells, which nobody saw, but that was Tobe Hooper's first movie.
Who was it?
Tobe Hooper.
Okay.
Who was the director of Chainsaw.
Oh.
And they filmed the scene at my house, and I guess they thought I was funny, and so they kept adding scenes for me to be in.
That's
the
great.
movie came out, nobody saw it, And then 4 years went by, and then I got a call from I think it was Toby. He said, "Hey, we got this script for a movie that we did. We'd like you to play this character." So and as they say, the rest is history.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome.
So that's what happened, and now we're in our 50th anniversary.
Did you act in any other films after Chainsaw Massacre? Or?
I went from a top co-star to an extra in Willie Nelson's movie, Honeysuckle Rose, and I think I was in a movie, The Tomato That Ate Austin, but I don't think that ever came out. And then I met a director a couple of years ago by the name of Ray Spivey, and he wrote a movie called The Storage Locker, and that's my comeback role. And I'll also be in the movie that we'll start filming in March called The Weed Hacker Massacre.
Oh, that's awesome. Very cool.
It's all kinds of things, but
yeah,
meeting these guys from Cannibal Comedian has been just a blessing. Yeah. So I'm having the time of my life.
I'm sure it goes both ways. It's a great.
We're bringing it.
Mutual.
We're bringing it.
Very mutual.
Great relationship. What happened after acting? What did you do in between? What?
I started an entertainment company called the Three Ring Service, and my claim to fame is I was a clarinet playing turkey.
Oh, so you're a musician.
Yeah, so nice. I know about humiliation.
That's cool. So you won. You guys have won what? 19 awards.
I think we're up to at least 21 right now.
21.
Yeah.
Very cool.
We're of age.
And what was that? You mentioned a film festival earlier, a really big one that.
Well, the biggest one I think that we had, where it was probably like over 1,000 people, was the World Drive-In movie festival that Joe Bob Briggs.
Yeah, Joe Bob Briggs World Drive-In Jamboree.
Jamboree,
is
right?
The name of it. Yeah.
Yeah,
sounds fun.
They did that in Vegas, and I mean, that was wild, because that's when we first started to see that's when we first started to see reviews pop up on like Letterboxd and stuff like that, and like getting like genuine horror fans who had traveled from across the world to come to this thing. So that was fantastic. We won a hubby, which is his version of the Oscar, which is made on a Chevy hubcap.
Nice.
So the whole
That's
award is great. He did the drive-in totals, which if you've seen the last drive-in on Shudder, his show, he does like the totals of all the, how many kills, how many boobs, how many this, that, and the other. It's like, and that was like so cool to be.
What do we get out of 5? We got a 4 out of 5.
I think it's out of 4, and I think it was a
3 out of 4.
Was it 3 out of 4?
Something like that.
3 out of 4 or 4
They
out of 5.
wanted more boobs.
We did a good.
Yeah,
we did a good.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. But we've also done Marina Del Rey, where we did our premiere. Was a fantastic night, and there's red carpet coverage that's online on YouTube right now. You can check out of the cast is very West Coast based.
That's where we met Ty too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So that was kind of perfect,
cool.
because we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for when and where we chose to premiere the movie, because that's genuinely that night of the premiere we met Ty, and he was
very serendipitous of a night.
That was a last minute submission too. I saw through the director of Final Summer that he was playing Marina Del Rey, and I just maybe it was like a couple days left, final deadline, and I submitted and we got in. Yeah. Peter Green, the film festival programmer, called me right up on the phone. He's like, "You got in." Nice. So it's cool that he's personal about that too, calling the filmmakers.
We won Best Horror Film.
Yeah,
horror feature there for our premiere, and then after that it was kind of off to the races. We were doing Days of the Dead, the conventions. We've done like 5 or 6 of them right now.
Yeah,
which are all over the nation. We were able to play Orlando Film Festival, Cineworld in Sarasota, South Carolina Underground. We won there.
I recommend Houston Horror Film Festival.
Yep,
they were fantastic. Yeah, great turnout too.
Very cool.
It's really cool. It was a lot of fun. A lot of lovers of horror films, and just a lot of support from fans of horror were there. Yeah. So that was a great film festival too.
Because sometimes you could go to like a convention film festival, and the convention and the celebrities that are there is a lot of the draw, and then sometimes they'll like put the film festival in the corner kind of deal. But this was a festival in which the fest was the main thing, and the celebrities were kind of like the secondary focus. So like there was like 300 people coming out to Houston.
Oh, that's great.
Screenings.
Very cool.
And we ended up winning, I think, like 3 awards there as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's been really fantastic is we're not coming out saying like this movie is the greatest movie you're ever going to see, but we do think it's probably going to be one of the most original that you'll see.
Sure.
And so when it comes to the awards, it's always like we hope it's going to happen, and we think it has the potential to win something. But I after we started to win about 15, 20, we're just like, I think it's the fact that the movie is memorable when you're sitting there at the end of the day going,
right.
What stood out to me? What's not really trying to absolutely copy something? We pay homage and a love letter to stuff like 90s comedy, Ace Ventura, Texas Chainsaw, but we're not sitting there just ripping it off or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
It's like
Still your.
Just
Yeah.
films that I grew up that I loved, and it's all incorporated.
You can just see your inspiration coming out in the film.
Yeah. If you love that stuff, you're gonna love our film, and
Right.
we hope you do.
If you love World War II, you're going to love this movie.
You were going to say something?
Oh yeah, I never really won anything ever in my life, and I've won 3 out of 4 nominations on this whole tour. And
Great.
it's just kind of been a mind blow for me because it's like, oh, you noticed little me. Awesome.
Horror, yeah, and Horror Hound too, which is
I beat out Jordan
it's pretty
Peele
big.
for my first award ever
Wow.
for Best Supporting Actor, and I didn't even realize that till I saw the playback because I'm like, why are they talking about Jordan Peele so much? And I'm like, oh, he was nominated. Oh my god.
That's amazing. That's a big deal.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of his. So I was just like, that's my biggest brag of my life.
So I know you guys are still on the festival circuit, but what are your plans with the film, and do you have another project in the works already, or?
Yeah, we do have a project in post-production, and it's called Area 5150, and it's sort of a sci-fi horror with a overcast of slapstick comedy as well, and that's a lot of fun.
I love the name.
Hmm?
I love the name. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah.
Cool.
And I mean, it works for the movie too. And so we have Felissa Rose from Sleepaway Camp. She was great. And then Vernon Wells are 2 of kind of a bigger names that are in it. He was in Commando and
Yeah, I know you're talking about. Yeah.
Mad Max 2.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he was great. And so we're excited about that when we finish that and get that out. And what was your question?
And
The
then
distribution.
Oh, distribution.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're ideally, we're wanting to tour, especially. I mean, we've been talking about it the whole trip here too. About
it's a very director answer, right?
Yeah. With the like the 50th anniversary of Texas Chainsaw, we very much would love to do stuff with Allen and the whole team with that film, and take it to where anybody's interested in it. Like this is a scenario where Ty was like, we have a theater in town, we want to bring this movie there,
Yeah.
and so it's going to be our first screening because it was just like they reached out to us and we were able to make it happen. And but we're definitely in the works. We've got proposals for doing a Blu-ray, DVD, limited VHS run even.
Yeah.
And then, we're still planning on taking the movie on tour, and then it'll be up on digital as well. And luckily we've had, our pie in the sky, distributors have either reached out or after the tour even was like, okay, this is something we were definitely interested in.
And at first weren't too.
Yeah.
Before the tour and everything.
Well, I know a lot of filmmakers, and a lot of those guys have lost a lot from distribution deals. So I know it can be difficult to work those out. And there's so many avenues of self-publishing your work today.
Yep. That's another whole aspect.
That's even kind of like with the theatrical, you know what I mean? If somebody, you see that with a lot of movies where they don't tell you that when they want the rights to all your stuff, all your media, they've got it all.
They
don't
just
have
take
to
it all.
do anything. They're not
Right.
contractually obligated to make anything or do anything.
Yeah.
And a lot of places will just throw it up on streaming and then nothing else. But they've got your rights for like 15 years.
Right.
And with ours, we were like, well, if no one's planning on doing something with these specific things like theatrical or for physical media or whatever, it's like we just carve that stuff out and then we sell that stuff to the people that do immediately want to do something
Nice.
with it. And luckily, again, like I said, like we've got those interested parties who are all respectively the best at their game of doing what it is. But also, with theatrical, it's like we're going to take this thing on the road. We all love going on tour together, and
Yeah.
we were talking about it earlier, like bringing the band together and that feeling of the beginning of Texas Chainsaw, getting in the van, hopefully no Franklins, and it's you get out there and you make it happen
And
by
have
any means necessary.
and have a live aspect to it, just like
Yeah.
a rodeo show. Have a stand-up comic, have a live performance,
Yeah.
and then have the 2 movies.
You're
So-
building a lot of value in the project. Yeah.
I mean, even during the pandemic, when we didn't know theaters were going to come back, we were talking about drive-ins. So it's like we'd like to bring stand-ups and bring that to drive-ins. We've had Aaron's dressed up as Charlie, the Cannibal Comedian, gone around in conventions and in costume, actually, like going around
awesome.
scaring people and stuff like that. It's like it's got something a little bit more than just a movie. It's a live thing.
And we have a local boy named Britton Buchanan who was runner-up on The Voice, and he wrote a song about me. He took my life and put it into a 3-minute song.
I saw the song the other
Ballad
night.
of Chainsaw Jerry.
It was incredible.
So we're going to see if we can get him involved and
As part of the
do
live
like a
performance.
He's a brilliant artist.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Incredible
terrific
musician.
performer. Excellent.
Yeah.
He'll be here tonight, I believe,
Yeah,
doing
he'll
our
be here, yeah.
Q&A.
So it's just weird enough and cool enough of a collaboration, like of someone from The Voice, and they got Chainsaw Massacre
Yeah.
and Cannibal Comedian and stand-up comedy all in one, like cool, fun package. I
Feels
think-
like something really awesome is happening.
yeah,
And
yeah.
different.
It's
And
so
different.
organic too.
Yeah.
It's so completely natural and just evolutionized itself. We just ride in the ride for real.
It's great. Yeah, congratulations on that, guys. This is really
Thank you so
incredible.
much.
Thank you.
And I think we're out of time, but thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Thanks for having
Yeah.
us.
Yes, thank you for having
Yeah,
me.
please check out cannibalcomedian.com for our upcoming shows, or if you're interested in booking a show or helping us with the tour, follow us online at Cannibal Comedian or Cannibal_Comedian on Instagram, and check it out.
How can they follow you guys all on Instagram and socials and all that stuff?
Yeah, Cannibal_Comedian right on Instagram, and then Cannibal Comic on Twitter, Cannibal Comedian on Facebook, and then Sean_Haitz HAITZ on Instagram or Facebook. And the other thing, we hope to have the movie released in some capacity of by May
Okay.
this year. So
Great.
yeah.
RyanJames.mov on Instagram. You can just search Ryan James on any of those, or look at the Cannibal Comedian tags. You'll probably see me on there for the other ones.
You can see all my tags on austinjudd.com, AUSTINJUDD.com. Everything's there. I got videos, photos, all the stuff I do, and even the updates of Cannibal Comedian.
Nice.
ChainsawJerry.com, and new would be the weedhacker.com.
Nice.
Weedhackermovie.com, I think. Anyway, thanks a lot for having us, and thanks to North Carolina.
Yeah.
So hop on board, come on down.
And thanks to Ty Brew for making this happen.
And the Sunset Theater.
Yes, the Sunset Theater. Yep. Well, hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Be sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you next week. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cool.